My story begins in the heart of Iran. I was born into a devout Muslim family. We prayed 5 times a day, we fasted during Ramadan. My family followed Islamic law diligently. I was taught to believe that Islam was the only true religion. Yet, even as a child, a seed of doubt lingered in my heart. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. My family attended mosque regularly. I listened to the imam's sermons. I studied the Quran diligently. But deep down, I felt a void. I yearned for a deeper understanding. Islam seemed to offer a set of rules, but not the spiritual fulfillment I craved. My heart longed for a more personal connection with God. I began to question my faith in silence. I wondered about the nature of God. I questioned the rigidity of Islamic law. Why were there so many rules? Was there no room for grace and forgiveness? My doubts grew with each passing day. Fear kept me from voicing my concerns. I knew that questioning Islam was forbidden. It could lead to ostracism or worse. But suppressing my doubts only intensified them. The more I tried to ignore them, the louder they became. I felt trapped in a cycle of religious observance that offered no real solace for my soul. Growing up, I witnessed the immense pressure of upholding religious traditions. Islam was more than just a religion in Iran. It was a way of life, intricately woven into the fabric of society. From a young age, we were taught the importance of adhering to Islamic customs and rituals. Failing to do so carried significant social consequences. The weight of these traditions pressed heavily upon me. While I understood their cultural significance, I couldn't reconcile them with my growing doubts. The elaborate rituals, the strict adherence to dietary laws, the constant fear of committing haram, it all felt suffocating. My spirit yearned for freedom, for a faith that transcended mere outward observance. I observed hypocrisy within my community. Many people strictly adhered to Islamic practices outwardly, but displayed little compassion or kindness in their daily lives. Their faith seemed like a performance, a way to gain social acceptance rather than a genuine expression of love for God. This dissonance fueled my internal conflict. I longed for authenticity. I desired a faith that touched the depths of my being, one that transformed me from within. Islam seemed to focus on outward actions, on meticulously following a set of rules. I craved a deeper connection, a faith that spoke to my heart and soul. In the quiet corners of my heart, a different kind of faith beckoned. I had heard whispers of Christianity, stories from forbidden books and hushed conversations. These whispers, though faint, carried a strange allure. They spoke of a God who loved unconditionally, a God who offered forgiveness and grace. The idea of a loving God resonated deeply within me. It stood in stark contrast to the image of a distant and judgmental God that I had come to associate with Islam. I began to seek out more information about Christianity, discreetly and with great caution. I stumbled upon a small group of Iranian Christians who met in secret. I was drawn to their humility and their unwavering faith. They spoke of Jesus with a reverence I had never encountered before. Their words carried a power that I couldn't deny, a power that seemed to touch the deepest parts of my being. I learned about Jesus' life, his death on the cross, and his resurrection. The story captivated me. Here was a man who claimed to be God, who willingly sacrificed himself for the sins of humanity. This concept was completely foreign to my Islamic upbringing. One day, a Christian friend gave me a Bible. It was a simple act of kindness, but it felt incredibly dangerous. Possessing a Bible in Iran could lead to imprisonment or worse. I knew the risks, but my curiosity outweighed my fear. I began to read in secret, my heart pounding with every turn of the page. The words of the Bible resonated with my soul in a way that the Quran never had. I was struck by the love and compassion that emanated from its pages. Jesus' teachings on forgiveness, grace, and unconditional love filled me with a sense of hope and longing. His words were like water to a parched soul. I delved deeper into the Gospels, captivated by the accounts of Jesus' life and ministry. I witnessed his compassion for the outcast, his healing power, his radical message of love and forgiveness. I was particularly drawn to his Sermon on the Mount, where he challenged his followers to live lives of humility, mercy, and peace. As I read, I felt a profound shift occurring within me. The doubts that had plagued me for so long began to dissipate. In their place grew a sense of peace and assurance that I had never known before. I was beginning to understand that true faith was not about rigid adherence to rules, but about a transformative relationship with a loving God. Reading the Bible opened my eyes to a new understanding of God. He wasn't a distant, judgmental figure, but a loving Father who desired a relationship with me. I was captivated by the concept of grace, a concept utterly foreign to my Islamic upbringing. It was as if a weight had been lifted from my shoulders. The more I read, the more I realized that Jesus was the answer to my deepest longings. He offered the forgiveness I craved, the peace I sought, the love I desperately needed. My heart yearned to know him more, to experience the transformative power of his love. The stories of Jesus' miracles filled me with awe and wonder. He healed the sick, cast out demons, and even raised the dead. These accounts, so different from the rigid doctrines of Islam, resonated with a deep longing within me. I yearned for that kind of power, a power that transcended the physical world and touched the very core of human existence. Despite the risks, I started attending secret Christian gatherings more frequently. I found solace in the company of other believers. They too had experienced the transformative power of Christ's love. Their faith, tested by persecution, shone brightly in the darkness. One evening, during a clandestine gathering, I experienced a profound encounter with Jesus. As we prayed, I felt an overwhelming sense of peace wash over me. It was as if a heavy burden had been lifted from my shoulders. In that moment, I knew that Jesus was real and that he loved me unconditionally. Tears streamed down my face as I surrendered my life to Christ. I confessed my sins, my doubts, my fears. And in that moment of surrender, I experienced a freedom I had never known before. It was the freedom of being known and loved completely, despite my flaws and imperfections. From that day forward, my life was forever changed. The emptiness I had felt for so long was replaced with an unshakable joy. I had found the truth I had been searching for, and I was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. My faith in Christ wasn't an intellectual decision. It was a visceral experience, a profound encounter with the divine. The love of Christ filled me with a joy that transcended my circumstances. It was a joy that permeated my being, a joy that the world could neither give nor take away. Embracing Christianity was just the beginning of my journey. It also meant leaving behind everything familiar. I knew that publicly proclaiming my faith would have dire consequences, but I couldn't deny the truth that had taken root in my heart. I began to share my newfound faith with those closest to me, starting with my family. To my surprise, my brother, who had also been wrestling with doubts about Islam, was open to hearing my story. We began to study the Bible together in secret, supporting each other in our newfound faith. Sharing my faith with my parents proved to be more challenging. They were devastated by my conversion. They saw it as a betrayal of our family, our culture, our religion. I was met with anger, disappointment, and pleas to renounce my newfound faith. Despite their rejection, I continued to pray for my parents, trusting that God would soften their hearts. I knew that their reaction stemmed from a place of love and concern, even if it was misplaced. I hoped that one day they too would experience the transformative love of Christ. Section 8. Facing persecution. My conversion to Christianity did not come without a price. I faced intense persecution from my community and even my own family. I was ostracized, threatened, and disowned by those I held dear. But my faith in Christ only grew stronger through these trials. I lost my job, my friends, and my social standing. My family, once a source of love and support, turned their backs on me. I was labeled an infidel, a traitor to my people. I was constantly under surveillance, living in fear of being arrested or worse. Yet, even in the face of such adversity, my faith remained unshaken. The peace and joy I had found in Christ far outweighed the pain of persecution. I knew that I was not alone in my suffering. The Bible was filled with stories of men and women who had faced persecution for their faith. Their courage inspired me to remain steadfast. The persecution I endured only strengthened my resolve. It deepened my dependence on God and solidified my commitment to Christ. I learned to rely on His grace to sustain me through every trial. Section 9. Standing firm. Despite the constant threat of persecution, I refused to be silenced. I knew that I had a responsibility to share the truth I had found with others who were searching for hope and meaning. I began to share my faith discreetly, meeting with other believers in secret and distributing Christian literature underground. I learned to be creative and courageous in my witness for Christ. I used coded language, met in inconspicuous locations, and took precautions to avoid detection. The risks were high, but I was compelled by the love of Christ to share his message of hope with those living in spiritual darkness. I witnessed many others who, like me, had found solace and salvation in Christ. Their faith, tested by fire, shone brightly in the darkness. We drew strength from each other, encouraging one another to remain steadfast in our faith. The words of Jesus echoed in my heart. I have told you these things, so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world. These words became my anchor, my source of strength and courage in the face of adversity. Section 10. A Call to Courage. My journey from Islam to Jesus was fraught with challenges, but it was the most transformative experience of my life. It taught me the true meaning of faith, the power of love, and the importance of standing firm in the face of adversity. To those who are seeking truth, I urge you, do not be afraid to question, to explore, to seek. The truth will set you free. Don't let fear or societal pressure hold you back from discovering the love of Christ. His arms are open wide to embrace you, no matter your background or beliefs. For those who are facing persecution for their faith, know that you are not alone. The global Christian community stands with you in solidarity. Your courage inspires us, your resilience strengthens us, your faith gives us hope. The journey of faith is not always easy. It requires courage, perseverance, and a willingness to surrender to a higher power. But the rewards are immeasurable. In Christ we find forgiveness, peace, and a love that surpasses all understanding. Section 11. Finding True Freedom. Today I stand as a testament to the transformative power of Christ's love. Despite facing persecution, losing my family, and enduring hardship, I have found true freedom in Christ. It is a freedom that transcends physical circumstances, a freedom that resides in the depths of my soul. My story is not unique. There are countless others who have made the courageous decision to follow Christ, even at great personal cost. Their stories are a testament to the enduring power of faith, hope, and love. The journey from Islam to Jesus is not about abandoning one's culture or heritage. It is about embracing a universal truth, a love that transcends all boundaries. It is a journey of the heart, a pilgrimage towards a deeper understanding of God and His boundless grace. If my story resonates with you, if you too are searching for truth and meaning, I encourage you to reach out. There is a community of believers ready to welcome you with open arms. Take that step of faith. You won't regret it.